Hey folks, welcome to Flukatronic. It is late March in 2020 and a lot of the world and nation is still dealing with coronavirus. As you can see in North Carolina, we are also in the state, but right here in my household things are still doing fine. You can see behind me dogwoods are blooming and still beauty to be had in the world. So if you're dealing with that still, I don't want to minimize that at all. But for a lot of folks, you're just dealing with isolation and trying to fill the hours and reduce anxiety and those kinds of things. So one of the things you might want to be doing is trying to learn a new skill, learn some new theory or ways of practicing on your flute. So if that's where you are, maybe this will help. Okay, so quick recap of where we've been with this series. We introduced talking about the pentatonic minor scale, which is where most folks start with Native American flute. And I'm going to turn to the side when I play because it's blowing out the camera. But those notes for the pentatonic minor scale are these. And another reminder, we are using an A minor flute. This one is from JD Flutes. And the reason we're using A minor is that is going to be our non-transposing instrument. So it's going to be our home instrument throughout the series. And this will be the basis for the music I'll put up and learning to read from sheet music as well. So that was pentatonic minor. Then we moved on to natural minor, just adding 2 notes to that scale. And these are the notes of the natural minor scale. All right, and then we did another video that took away 2 notes to introduce kind of a subset of natural minor called Hirajoshi, and I won't go over that today. You can look back if you're interested in that. Because today we're going to be covering the Dorian mode, or Dorian scale in A, and it's very simple. All we're going to do is change 1 note from the natural minor scale, and it's that F that we added to pentatonic. So you can think of this as changing from F to an F sharp. And here's the notes. All right, very similar, but very different. Different feel that F sharp gives you instead of the F natural. Okay, let's go over 2 fingerings that are useful for this note. And I don't know if you were able to tell while I was turned to the side, but the easiest is just 2 fingers. All right, so if you're running up the flute, you just keep lifting and you'll get that F sharp note right there. Okay, so very easy, just as easy as any of the other upper hand fingerings. So it just takes practice to remember it, but just very easy going up the flute, and you'll hit that F sharp. Now another thing that is useful to know is if you're coming down the scale, you might find this fingering more useful, and you might think of this as G flat instead of F sharp. All right, so G is typical G fingering is that, and if you just put index finger down there, that's also G flat or F sharp. So depending on where you're coming from, high or low, you may find it easier to do one or the other of those fingerings, so both are handy to know. Okay, so that's the scale. Now I've got a practice loop I'm going to post that you can practice using this scale. Now you can use this scale over a number of chords. So any tune that is in the key of A minor, you can try this A Dorian scale over, and it's probably going to work. So that'll just give you a little bit different sound, maybe a little more exotic, a little more different from what you're used to playing, especially if all you're used to is the pentatonic minor. It'll just spice it up a little bit. So the progression I'm going to give you here is the chords A minor, E minor, C major, and D major. And if you know your chord theory a little bit, you know that the only one that the F sharp note actually appears in is the D. But this scale and that note even will work over all the chords. So I'm going to give just a kind of a brief playthrough, and I'll try to emphasize that note, and you can kind of see how it fits over all the chords. So let's see how that goes. Alright, so that is the lesson there. So Dorian mode, very handy to know, very useful. So put that into practice. I'll give you a link towards the full backing track, and feel free to use that in your own personal practice. Or if you want to record yourself doing some Dorian licks over that, hey, I'd love to see what you do with it. Add a post back or let me know. Great to see what you do with it. Thanks, and we'll see you next time on Fluketronic.